Now on CoastTV News.
May Day marches. Workers rally around the world. What they say they're pushing for. A major reversal on Delaware's electric vehicle mandate. Why the governor and Senate Republicans say it's time to slam the brakes. And an officer-involved shoot. A traffic stop in Milton ends in gunfire. What police say led to the deadly encounter.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Thousands of people protesting across the globe today. Good evening. I'm Christina D. Robertus. Welcome to Coast TV News at 11. We begin tonight with a call to action as numerous demonstrations were held around the world. It's May 1st or May Day, also International Workers' Day. And as Sherelle Hubbard reports, for many, it's a day to protest the Trump administration's policies.
Global citizens reveled in May Day, traditionally a day of protest and civil action for labor rights, also known as International Workers' Day. Demonstrators advocate for fair wages and working conditions.
We're here talking about everything that's going on with these corporations. We got to let them know that without us, there would be no use.
In the United States, May Day got a boost from the 50-51 movement. Short for 50 protests, 50 states, one movement. Protesters demonstrated against the Trump administration's actions over its first 100 days. Protesters from the May Day Strong Coalition say they are, quote, demanding a world where every family has housing, health care, fair wages, union protection, and safety, regardless of race, zip code, or immigration status. Among the speakers, the family of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Maryland man wrongly deported to El Salvador.
My husband was illegally detained, abducted, and disappeared, thrown away to die in one of the most dangerous prisons in El Salvador.
Followers of the movement are optimistic that this national and international day of solidarity will bring change.
To show that we have a voice and we're not going to be quiet. We're not going to shut up. We're going to be loud.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
And many of the marches across the U.S. were organized by the 50-51 movement. The group says its key concerns are upholding the Constitution and ending what they describe as executive overreach. Well, new tonight, Senate Republican leaders in Delaware are backing Governor Matt Meyer's opposition to Delaware's electric vehicle mandate. Meyer has reportedly said he plans to scrap the rule, which was adopted under the previous Carney administration. It would require 43% of new cars sold in the state by 2027 to be zero emission. In response, Senate Republican Whip Brian Pettyjohn of Georgetown has circulated an updated bill to block the mandate. Also new tonight, we're learning more details about an officer-involved shooting in Milton today. According to Delaware State Police, it happened right here on West Springside Drive. Authorities say they tried to stop a suspected impaired driver who did not pull over, but instead started approaching officers with a knife. Two troopers fired their guns, shooting the man. They say he was given first aid but then died at the scene, and DSP says it will provide more details as the investigation continues. Affordable and workforce housing. There is not enough of it here in Sussex County, and that was the topic of discussion during the third Sussex County Land Use Reform Working Group meeting this morning. Coast TV News reporter Ana Sofia Roman shows us what some of those ideas were talked about today.
In order to get more affordable and workforce housing like this, one of the ideas is to reduce lot sizes, build more homes on those smaller lots, and build taller buildings with additional floors. Another idea is to create predictable zoning and permitting paths and allow an expedited review for affordable projects.
The 10 stakeholders that are participating in the working group had a lot of ideas. You heard today some getting into the weeds topics, including whether or not there should be public hearings during these applications. That's an idea that has been discussed, maybe debated quite a while.
Some members from the group advocated for removing public hearings for these type of applications to speed along the projects, since these projects have already received state and federal approvals. Johanne Sayer lives in Lewis and has attended all the group's meetings.
Having the public be involved in the approval process, giving the public the opportunity to give input, that's part of governmental accountability to the public. Government is accountable to the public for ensuring that its collective interests are secured, are not harmed. And in order to do that, public input is required in some form.
Working together to tackle the workforce and affordable housing shortage. In Georgetown.
Coast TV's Ana Sofia Roman reporting there. And the working group says it will continue coming up with ideas which will turn into recommendations for the Sussex County Council by the summer. Now to Ocean City, where Cruise in Ocean City is getting underway. Just like last year, the event is split between 2 locations. So if you're hoping to check out some classic cars, don't go to the convention center. This year, you're going to find them at the Inlet and on 49th Street. That's because the event was moved up a week and it now overlaps with the Beach Fest volleyball tournament, which is taking over the convention center.
Classic cars, the hot rods, things like this little Opal. You see all kinds of cars and all kinds of people.
And Cruise in Ocean City's last day is going to be on Sunday. This does bring us to our Coast TV poll tonight. We want to know, what is your favorite type of car to see? Let's take a look at the updated results, see what your favorite cars are. Wow, 83% saying the classics are their favorite. Only 6% saying custom builds or trucks. Only 5% saying the hot rods. I don't know what I would vote in this, but you can still vote. There's still time, so head over to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. Let us know what you think. Now we're taking a live look outside into the Lewis area, and our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams joins us now with a check on our First Alert weather. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening to you, Christina. And right now we're staying relatively quiet, cooling off a little bit more so in the inland areas like Milford right now with our Bay Health camera showing that we're at 59 degrees. And we're going to stay we're going to have scattered clouds in place for us. Dry conditions continuing for tonight as the winds continue to kind of whip around a bit. We're still staying a bit on the dry side, and we're going to need that rain that we're anticipating getting this weekend. We're in the 60s right now throughout the inland areas. We're in the 50s, 59 we're home at the beach right now. So once again, the difference between being close to the ocean versus being in the inland areas, we're at 69 degrees right now in Laurel as well as Seaford. And as you take a look at our observation at this present time, breezy conditions along the beaches for us along Sussex County and throughout now the Chesapeake Bay area. But it's about the it's about the rain that we anticipate this weekend. We'll talk about that in more detail in a moment. Till then, back to you, Christina.
All right, thank you, Paul. Well, Delaware Governor Matt Meyer established a new office dedicated to gun violence prevention and community safety today. The new office will coordinate efforts between state, local governments, and community organizations. Supporters say this comes at a critical time with too many lives being lost to gun violence.
This is our chance to pull all of the stakeholders together so that we really can be the safest state in the nation. It is an achievable goal. It is one we've been working on for years, and I have no doubt that we can get there.
And Meyer's team says the office's first year will focus on assessing existing programs and identifying gaps. Now to Seaford, people there are hoping the new order helps bring change after a string of recent shootings. There were 2 deadly shootings in less than a month. Many say they fear for their safety and they're desperate for solutions. Seaford police tell us they're working with state police and the community to help, and they welcome the state government's input.
We're leaving no stone unturned in our search to improve the safety of the community. And that's why we're excited and looking forward to seeing where these additional resources and collaborative effort can go towards solving these serious problems.
Yeah, and Deputy Chief Justice says the department is looking forward to learning more details about the state's new office as it becomes available. The Delaware Center for the Inland Bays is hosted their Coast Forward Summit today. It was a way for the community to connect and brainstorm ways to keep our water clean. The Center for the Inland Bays says there are a number of ways to get involved in protecting the inland bays.
Resiliency comes from the whole watershed, the holistic watershed working together. So if I'm planting trees in Georgetown or building an oyster reef in Ocean View, both of these have really positive impacts on how our community is resilient.
And this was all happening today at the Georgetown Cheer Center. You can find some more details over on CoastTV.com. Well, in order to protect its environment, the city of Lewis is proposing what's called a resiliency fund to be used to both prevent and react to natural disasters. The city says flooding is a big concern there. And as you can see in this video, flooding happens often in Lewis, and that's why the city wants to take money from existing sources like property taxes and parking revenue and specifically set them aside for fixing infrastructure and responding to storm damage. Lewis says they want to build a fund of $3 to $5 million in the next 5 to 7 years. Some locals say this is important for the future of the area.
If we want to still have a wonderful area, a wonderful earth, period, we need to do something about it. Take better care.
And if you have any thoughts on this draft of the Resiliency Fund, you can submit your comments on the City of Lewis's website. That's until 4 p.m. tomorrow. Well, the Museum of Chincoteague Island is asking for the public's help with identifying a mystery portrait. It was found at the BB Ranch in the attic. Historians believe the man is named Drummond Hill and most likely pictured around 1880. The Hills were a prominent family with members still living on the island today.
They made a living for themselves here on the island and working in the seafood trade and transporting seafood. But if you go back to the original Hills that came on the island, they were shipwreck survivors. So you really can go back with this story and learn a whole bunch about the Eastern Shore and living on a barrier island.
Now, the Chincoteague Island Museum says the grand opening of the BB Ranch is going to be on June 28th. It plans to display the portrait for guests to guess who Drummond Hill was. And we are just getting started tonight on Coast TV News at 11. Coming up next, a hospital merger in Worcester County, how it could make local healthcare more efficient and effective. But first, we'll show you the positive effect of the simple act of boxing up shoes in Ocean Pines. That's up next.
Here's a look at your Bay forecast. We're going to roll with the 80s for 2 days in a row before we break down to the 70s again. But that's going to come with the caveat of a few scattered showers. We'll talk about the rescue rain that we want to embrace in about a moment. We'll be right back.
It started out as a group of friends just walking around a neighborhood together, but it turned into a movement. And now it's worldwide, making a difference one shoe at a time. In today's Coastal Connections, reporter Kevin Zappe shows us what this group is doing and how you can help.
If you check your closets, you might find some forgotten shoes taking up space, but now those shoes can be used for good. You can hand them over to the Teal Bay Mitzvah team in Ocean Pines.
I think so far we've shipped out about 150 pairs in total.
Since March, Margaret Novak and her friends have been working with the Souls for Souls nonprofit organization to get shoe donations, which will provide footwear to people in need across the U.S. and around the world.
Third world countries where small micro entrepreneurs receive them and set up businesses to sell them. And these people now have a sustainable income. They go to crisis areas, many in the United States.
So where can you donate your shoes to make a difference? There are locations all spread out around Ocean Pines where you could drop off your shoes. From there, the Mitzvah team will put them in boxes, tape them up, load them in a car, and drop them off at Michael's, where they will then be sent over to Souls for good use. Novak loves all the support from Ocean Pines and hopes to see more in the future.
They can all play a role. They can all help by dropping off their shoes. And we're getting ready for the summer. It's wonderful here. But we can live here and still make a difference in the world.
On May 17th, they will be at the Ocean Pines season kickoff event where they'll be gathering more donations and reminding people that small things like a pair of shoes can make a world of difference. I'm Kevin Zappe in Ocean Pines, Coast TV News.
Well, in the Lewis area, we're staying very clear, and though it's just a slight cool in the air, nothing that's chilly or cold or uncomfortable, but temperatures in the 60s throughout the rest of the evening. And going to the early morning hours, we'll have increasing cloud cover, and then, pardon me, that's when we'll see the temperatures go up just ever so slightly. I mean, we're in the 60s for the most part, most areas with the exception of being Rehoboth Beach at 59 right now, but we're at a comfortable 65 degrees in Milton as well as Redden, 69 in Dagsboro, Laurel 69, 67 in Delmar, 64 right now, Bridgeville. Small craft advisory still active for our area. Now that simply means that for the beaches, we still have 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That'll be a concern up to about, let's say, Friday evening for the Lewis Beach as well as Dewey Beach, Rehoboth, Bottom Hills, Ocean View, down towards South Bethany. It stops just shy of Ocean City. Now, on the other side, over towards Crisfield and towards Cambridge, we have that same concern for 25-mile-per-hour winds. We now have the stationary boundary that's draping right across the most southern portions of the Delmarva Peninsula, allowing for some mixing. Now, there's an outside chance of a quick popping in of a sprinkle or two overnight, but most of us won't even see it, and most of us won't know it even existed. Now, what to expect? Summer-like conditions will kick back in for us. Not a washout for this weekend, although we are expecting rain, and the rain's going to be a good thing. Please keep that in mind. And then pesky cutoff low going into next week with scattered showers, cloudy and breezy conditions expected throughout midweek. As far as tomorrow is concerned, in the 80s we go, with the exception of Rehoboth, 77, but we're in the 80s everywhere else, 86 in Seaford as well as Georgetown. We are going to warm to 83 degrees, at the very least in Cambridge, and then over towards Berlin, we're looking at 82 there, as well as Snow Hill, 77 for the high, actually, in Ocean City. For Friday lunchtime, we'll have temperatures already into the 80s with bright sunshine, and then we'll settle back into the 70s into the late night hours. So it's going to be warm even in the late night hours. Now, for Saturday, we'll see the winds pushing out of the south, and we'll have temperatures climbing back into the 80s again, but we're watching out for rain to kick in on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday instead of the weekend, but towards the end of the weekend. Sunday is when that rain will kick off. You see that Sunday rain going into Monday, and then Tuesday, a nice healthy slice of rain is going to kick in by then, with a couple of spots of yellow indicating the possibility of pockets of isolated thunderstorm in the midst of all the rain that will stick around for a solid 2 to 3 days in a row up until about 4:30 in the morning for Wednesday. And then we may see some leftover sprinkles trying to hang in a little bit later in the week. Finally, here's a look at the extended forecast. Once again, when the rain kicks off on Sunday, that's 75, and then Cinco de Mayo, 71 degrees, or 61 grados, since it is Cinco de Mayo. But anyway, 77 for us on Tuesday with a chance of rain continuing, or buena oportunidad de lluvia continuan in our area. I just had to slip that in because we're bilingual here. Back to you.
Thank you, Paul, or should I say gracias? Well, language learning platform Duolingo is replacing contract workers with artificial intelligence. In an email Duolingo shared on LinkedIn, it's part of the company's plan to become more AI focused. That will include not using contractors to, quote, do work that AI can handle. Duolingo's CEO said moving quickly to become AI first, despite the technology not being 100% perfect, could lead to some occasional small hits on quality, but he said the company, quote, can't wait. Well, in regional news, amusement park fans need to hurry and get their final thrills at Six Flags America in Bowie, Maryland. The amusement park will be closed for good at the end of the season. Hurricane Harbor will also be closing. The parent company of Six Flags said the roughly 500-acre property will be marketed for redevelopment. The park first opened as a wildlife preserve back in 1974, but later it became a Six Flags in 1999, and the park's final day will be in early November. Coming up in sports tonight, the Bayside South softball title was on the line tonight in Mardella. Find out if the Warriors could defend their title or if Stephen Decatur would play spoiler. And coming up in tonight's Health Minute, simple steps to take care of your mental health as Mental Health Awareness Month begins today.
And here's a look at your golf forecast. We are expecting for it to stay cooperative for you, at least have good conditions. We'll warm to the 80s, summer-like conditions with a slight chance of an afternoon thunderstorm.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
The American healthcare system is seemingly getting worse at caring for pregnant women and new mothers, flipping a 2-year trend. The maternal mortality rate for last year, it rose to 19 deaths per 100,000. So that's up from 18.6 in 2023. Maternal mortality is defined as women dying while pregnant or within 42 days of a pregnancy's end. Maternal mortality in the U.S. is one of the highest among wealthy nations. It also varies greatly between race and ethnicity. Hispanic women have the lowest mortality rate of 13.1 per 100,000 births. White women are next with 15.2, followed by Asian women at 17.7. Black women have by far the worst rate at 47.5. Well, Tidal Health is adding another hospital to their roster. Today, leaders signed an official agreement to merge with Atlantic General Hospital in Berlin. Officials say the partnership will expand services at Atlantic General through increased funding and updated equipment. Tidal Health CEO says all patients will be transferred over electronically.
We want care close to home, and we want to figure out the services that people need in the Atlantic General service area. We want to add physicians, add capabilities. If people need surgery, do more operations here on this campus.
So now Atlantic General Hospital will be renamed to Tidal Health Atlantic. Once the transition is complete, officials say they expect that to take around 10 months. Well, it is the first day of Mental Health Awareness Month, and in the U.S., an estimated 1 in 5 adults live with a mental illness. Whether it's depression, anxiety, or something else, these conditions can have a significant impact on day-to-day life. And in tonight's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has simple steps you can take every day to improve mental health and prioritize well-being.
When your body doesn't feel well, you go to the doctor. But what about when your mental health feels off?
Mental illness is at an all-time high.
Dr. Jen Brohl with the American Academy of Family Physicians says in the healthcare industry, mental illness isn't stigmatized, and you can seek care from someone like a family doctor. It's treated as a health concern, just like if you have a physical ailment.
When people have mental illness, it impacts every facet of their life, from what they're doing in their day-to-day to how they plan their future.
That's why Brohl says taking simple steps every day can help you cope with stress and be more resilient. Start by taking care of yourself, get good quality sleep, eat a healthy diet rich in fruits and veggies, lean proteins, and whole grains, and avoid processed foods. She says maintaining social connections is key, and so is regular exercise, as well as getting outdoors.
Exposure to sunlight helps your body make vitamin D, which does help you feel better.
Mental illness symptoms greatly vary depending on the condition, but can include excessive feelings of sadness, excessive worry or fear, avoidance of friends and social activities, or changes in appetite, sleep, and energy levels. Brohl says these are signals to see a doctor.
And making sure that they have conversations early and seek treatment before symptoms become severe.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Stephen Decatur softball came into today looking to shock some people. They took on the Mardella Warriors, who were riding a 54-game winning streak against Bayside opponents. And the Seahawks played small ball in the 5th. Riley Herzog's bunt brings in the game-tying run. And then one batter later, another bunt gets laid down and another Seahawks run comes in to score. The Stephen Decatur Seahawks pull off a stunner on the road and win it 3-1, and they take the Bayside South title for the first time since 2022. Earlier tonight, episode 2 of this new season of Into the Trenches aired, and it did not disappoint. We saw how the offseason work paid off for the Vikings, culminating in a victory over Red Lion in their first game of the season. Now let's take a look at how the Vikings prepared for the game ahead. Here's what to expect for episode 3.
On the next Into the Trenches.
Not a lot of kids get to hang out with their dad as much as I do.
It's difficult, and I would caution people who coach their kids.
I felt a lot of pressure, man. It was our first home game.
Tonight will probably be the most crowded home opener in years. What are you going to do to sacrifice for your brother?
Into the Trenches, a new voyage on the Delmarva Sports Network and DSN Plus, sponsored by Preston Automotive.
That'll do it for sports. Have a great night, everyone.
Mother's Day right around the corner, and Americans are planning to spend big on mom. According to the National Retail Federal, a little over $34 billion is expected to be spent on Mother's Day this year. On average, consumers plan to spend more than $250 on gifts and celebrations. Flowers continue to be the most popular gift, followed by cards and special outings.
Our Bay Health camera in Milford, we're expecting for it to continue to stay cooperative for us. Temperatures in the 60s with increasing cloud cover for the rest of the night. Our umbrella giveaway winner is actually Nate Schultz of Millsboro. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration and Home Remodeling. You can keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line, updated 24 hours a day. Call 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away. Sponsored by the law offices of Bruxted, Mandalis, and Federico. And then finally, as we take a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast, for the next couple of days, we're going to ride into the mid-80s, summer-like conditions for 2 days in a row, setting us up for a summer-like shower on Sunday. We'll drop by 10 degrees on Cinco de Mayo. We're looking for 71 degrees with rainy skies and cloudy conditions. Watching out for a chance of an isolated thunderstorm on Tuesday, but then we're going to stay in the 70s till we get to next Friday.
Alrighty, looks good. Thank you again, Paul, and thanks for joining us for Coast TV News at 11. For some more local news and weather, you can find that on our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is up next, and we'll see you back tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.